When everything goes wrong and the cold moves in, most people think they need fire or heat to survive. They don't. They need to stop losing the heat they already have. Cold kills quietly, through small mistakes that add up over time. In this video, you'll learn how to keep your body warm using simple, realistic methods that still work when power, fuel, and comfort are gone. Number 1. Cold is a system failure, not bad luck. When everything goes wrong and temperatures drop, most people frame the situation emotionally. They think they are unlucky, unprepared, or simply caught at the wrong time. That mindset is dangerous because it turns cold into something abstract and overwhelming. In reality, cold is a mechanical problem. It is a system failure where heat is leaving your body faster than your body can produce it. That's it. Nothing mystical, nothing random. Your body is a machine that converts fuel into energy, and part of that energy is heat. Right now, even sitting still, your metabolism is producing warmth. Your heart is pumping, your brain is firing, your muscles are maintaining tone. All of that produces heat. The danger starts when the environment pulls that heat away faster than you can replace it. Beginners in prepping often focus on adding heat. They think about fires, heaters, generators, or warm buildings. Those things help, but they are unreliable in real emergencies. Fuel runs out, power grids fail, generators break, fires need dry materials and oxygen, and they create light and smoke that can attract attention or cause other risks. Heat loss, however, follows rules. It always escapes your body in the same ways. Once you understand those ways, you can slow or stop the loss even without modern tools. This is the foundation of cold survival and emergency preparedness. You are not trying to magically become warmer. You are trying to stop heat from leaking out of your system the same way you would seal a drafty house in winter. When you shift your thinking like this, panic drops and practical decision-making takes over. Cold stops being an enemy and becomes a problem you can manage step by step. The first mental shift is accepting that survival in the cold is not about comfort. Comfort is optional. Survival is not. You might be uncomfortable, cramped, dirty, or annoyed, and still be doing everything right. Many people fail because they chase comfort instead of function. They keep moving to warm up and end up sweating. They remove layers because they feel briefly hot. They choose open spaces because they feel less claustrophobic. All of these choices increase heat loss. In a true failure scenario, your goal is stability. Stable body temperature, stable decisions, stable routine. The cold wears people down mentally before it defeats them physically. That's why understanding the system matters so much. If you know what's happening to your body, you are less likely to panic when discomfort shows up. Shivering is a warning sign, not an immediate death sentence. Feeling stiff is not the same as hypothermia. Knowing the difference allows you to act instead of freezing mentally along with your body. This is why prepping for beginners must start with understanding heat loss, not gear lists. Gear helps. Knowledge keeps you alive when gear is gone. Number 2, conduction is stealing your life quietly. Conduction is the transfer of heat through direct contact. It is silent, constant, and extremely effective at killing people who don't respect it. When you sit, lie, or lean against something colder than your body, heat flows from you into that object. Frozen ground, concrete floors, stone walls, metal benches, vehicle seats, and even cold wood all act like heat sinks. They pull warmth from your body non-stop. You may not feel it immediately because your nerves adapt, but the loss continues the entire time. This is one of the most common mistakes in emergency preparedness, especially among beginners. People layer up, put on jackets, and feel ready, then sit directly on the ground or lie on a cold surface and wonder why they can't warm up. The reason is simple. You insulated the top of your body, but left the largest heat drain wide open underneath you. Stopping conduction is boring, unglamorous, and absolutely essential. You create separation between your body and cold surfaces, and you trap air in that space. Air is the real hero here. Still air slows heat transfer dramatically. This is why cardboard is such a powerful survival material. It is filled with tiny air pockets. In urban environments, cardboard is everywhere. Under you, between you and cold surfaces, cardboard acts like a thermal barrier. Backpacks stuffed with clothes, folded tarps, foam pads, pine branches, leaves, newspapers, seat cushions, even spare shoes can all serve the same purpose. The thicker the layer, the better the insulation. In cold survival, thickness beats density. A thin, dense object like metal conducts heat fast. A thick, fluffy object filled with air slows heat loss. This principle applies indoors as well. In power outages, people often stay in large rooms with cold floors, sitting on couches that are directly touching concrete slabs underneath. The floor drains heat constantly. Putting cardboard or layered blankets under sleeping areas can significantly improve warmth. In vehicles, sitting directly on cold seats without insulation underneath will drain heat faster than most people realize. If you ever have to sleep in a car during winter, insulating beneath you matters more than covering yourself from above. Conduction works 24 hours a day, whether you are awake or asleep. If you fail to manage it, your body has to burn more calories just to stay alive. That leads to exhaustion, dehydration, and faster onset of hypothermia. One simple rule can save your life. Never let your body rest directly on something cold if you have any way to avoid it. Number 3. Wind is the enemy you can't see. Wind feels harmless compared to freezing temperatures, but it is one of the most dangerous forces in cold survival. Wind causes convection, which means it constantly replaces the warm air around your body with cold air. Even if you are producing enough heat, moving air steals it before it can build up around you. This is why wind chill is so deadly. A temperature that feels manageable in still air becomes life-threatening with even moderate wind. You can be well-dressed and still lose heat faster than your body can replace it simply because the warm air never stays near your skin. Blocking wind is often more important than adding insulation. A thin windproof layer can outperform thick clothing if that clothing allows airflow. This is why shells matter. They don't need to be expensive or tactical. Trash bags, ponchos, plastic sheeting, tarps, shower curtains, and even improvised plastic wraps taped together can block wind effectively. In prepping and emergency preparedness, this is a critical lesson. You are not trying to look prepared. You are trying to control airflow. Still air equals warmth. Moving air equals heat loss. Inside homes during winter emergencies, drafts are silent killers. Gaps around doors, windows, and vents allow cold air to flow continuously. Sealing those gaps with towels, clothing, plastic, or cardboard dramatically improves heat retention. In vehicles, blocking airflow around doors and windows helps trap the heat your body produces. In outdoor survival, shelters should be designed to block wind first and rain or snow second. People often build shelters that look impressive but allow air to pass through. That's a mistake. A low, ugly wind-blocking shelter is far more effective than a tall, open structure. Once airflow stops, your insulation finally has a chance to work. Wind control turns weak insulation into effective insulation. Ignoring wind guarantees failure, no matter how many layers you wear. Number 4, layers are physics, not fashion. Layering works because it traps still air, not because it adds bulk. Each layer creates another barrier that slows heat transfer. The base layer exists to manage moisture. Wet skin loses heat rapidly because water conducts heat far better than air. This is why sweating in cold conditions is dangerous. Overexertion causes sweat, sweat causes heat loss, and heat loss leads to hypothermia even when temperatures are not extreme. Wool and synthetic fabrics work well because they continue to insulate even when damp. Cotton absorbs moisture and holds it against the skin, which accelerates heat loss. This is why experienced preppers avoid cotton in cold environments. The middle layer is all about insulation. Its job is to trap air. Fleece, down, synthetic insulation, crumpled paper, dry leaves, foam padding, shredded packaging, and even spare clothing all work as long as they trap air and stay relatively dry. The outer layer blocks wind and moisture. This does not need to be high-end gear. It just needs to stop airflow and keep insulation from getting wet. One of the most effective prepping hacks is stuffing insulation between layers. People resist this because it looks strange or feels bulky. Cold does not care about appearance. Stuffing dry materials inside a jacket can dramatically increase warmth without additional gear. In a survival situation, you use what you have, not what looks good. Layering also allows control. You can add or remove layers to prevent sweating while staying warm. This balance is critical. Too cold, and your body burns energy uncontrollably. Too hot and you sweat, which leads to faster cooling later. Proper layering keeps your temperature stable and your energy usage efficient. This is one of the most important skills in prepping for beginners. Gear can fail, but understanding how to layer correctly allows you to adapt to changing conditions with almost any materials available. Number 5. Your head and hands control your decisions. There is a popular myth that most body heat is lost through the head. That specific percentage is incorrect, but the head and hands are still critically important. These areas have high blood flow, and heat loss there affects your brain and fine motor skills quickly. When your brain cools, judgment deteriorates. This is when people make dangerous choices like removing layers because they feel oddly warm, or failing to recognize how cold they truly are. This false sense of warmth is a classic hypothermia symptom. Your body is failing, and your brain is lying to you. Covering your head, neck, hands, and feet stabilizes your core temperature and helps maintain mental clarity. Hats, scarves, socks, gloves, and improvised wraps made from shirts, towels, or fabric scraps all help. In emergency preparedness, protecting extremities is not just about comfort. It is about maintaining the ability to think, move, and respond. Cold hands lose dexterity, making it harder to build shelter, prepare food, or handle tools. Cold feet reduce circulation and increase fatigue. A clear mind is one of your most valuable survival assets, and warmth supports that clarity. Cold survival is as much psychological as it is physical. Fear, confusion, and poor decisions kill people faster than cold alone. By protecting heat-sensitive areas, you reduce stress on your nervous system and preserve your ability to make rational choices. This is why experienced preppers emphasize simple habits like keeping your head covered and your hands functional. These small actions have outsized effects on survival outcomes. Staying warm enough to think clearly is often the difference between making it through the night and becoming another cold weather casualty. Number 6. Small shelters beat big spaces every time. When people picture shelter, they usually imagine space, room to move, and the feeling of not being boxed in. That instinct works against you in the cold. In low temperatures, space is not comfort, it is a liability. Every cubic meter of air around you has to be warmed somehow, and the only heat source you reliably have when everything goes wrong is your own body. The larger the space, the more heat is required to raise the temperature even slightly. That's why small shelters consistently outperform large ones in cold survival scenarios. Your goal is not to create a livable room. Your goal is to create a heat trap that your body can realistically warm and maintain over time. A shelter that is just big enough to lie down and turn slightly is ideal. Anything larger wastes energy. This applies to wilderness survival, urban emergencies, vehicles, and homes during power outages. In the wild, debris huts work because they are tight and heavily insulated. The structure itself does not matter nearly as much as the insulation thickness. Leaves, pine needles, grass, moss, clothing, shredded fabric, insulation batting, and even trash work as long as they trap still air. People focus on building strong frames, but strength is secondary. Insulation depth is what keeps you alive. A weak structure buried under 2 feet of insulating material will outperform a strong structure with thin walls every time. In urban prepping, the same logic applies indoors. During winter power failures, heating an entire house is impossible without fuel or electricity. Trying to do so wastes energy and morale. The smarter move is to seal off one small room and live inside it. Block doors, cover windows, seal vents, and layer insulation along walls and floors. Blankets, cardboard, foam, mattresses, and furniture can all be used to reduce air volume and heat loss. Even a poorly insulated room becomes survivable when its size is reduced. In vehicles, building a smaller insulated space inside the car works the same way. Cardboard and blankets can be used to create a cocoon that traps heat near your body, instead of letting it dissipate into the entire cabin. This concept feels counterintuitive at first, but once you experience how much warmer a small space becomes, it changes how you think about shelter permanently. Psychologically, small shelters can feel uncomfortable or claustrophobic. That discomfort is misleading. Discomfort does not equal danger. Cold kills quietly, while discomfort is loud and obvious. Many people abandon good shelters because they feel cramped and choose larger, colder spaces that feel mentally easier but are physically dangerous. Understanding this ahead of time is critical. In cold survival, containment beats comfort. You are shrinking the problem until your body can handle it. That is how limited resources defeat extreme conditions. Number 7. Reflecting heat is as good as making it. Your body radiates heat constantly in the form of infrared energy. Under normal circumstances, that energy simply escapes into the environment and is lost. Reflective materials change that equation by bouncing a portion of that heat back towards you. This does not create new heat, but it slows the rate at which your existing heat is lost. In survival terms, slowing loss is just as powerful as adding supply. Emergency blankets, reflective insulation, aluminum foil, reflective bubble wrap, and even car sunshades all operate on this principle. They are lightweight, cheap, and extremely effective when used correctly. The key is placement. Many people make the mistake of using reflective materials on the outside of clothing or shelters, where wind, moisture, and movement quickly destroy them. Reflective layers work best when protected. Inside a shelter, under blankets, between insulation layers, or as a ground barrier, they dramatically increase heat retention. Lining the interior walls of a small shelter with reflective material can turn it into a heat trap. Placing reflective material beneath you blocks radiant heat loss into the ground. Wrapping reflective material loosely around insulation layers helps keep heat circulating near your body, instead of escaping outward. In emergency preparedness, reflective materials are often dismissed as flimsy or gimmicky. That dismissal usually comes from misunderstanding how they work. Strength is irrelevant. Physics is what matters. Radiation accounts for a significant portion of heat loss, especially in still air. Reflective surfaces directly address that loss. This is why emergency blankets are included in so many survival kits despite their fragile appearance. They punch far above their weight when used correctly. Reflective materials also pair extremely well with small shelters. A large open space lined with reflective material is still inefficient. A tight, insulated shelter with reflective surfaces becomes dramatically warmer with minimal effort. This combination allows your body heat to accumulate instead of dissipating. In long-duration cold emergencies, this reduces calorie burn, dehydration, and fatigue. The less heat you lose, the less fuel your body needs to stay alive. Reflecting heat is not a trick. It is basic thermodynamics applied with cheap materials. Number 8. Water can store heat longer than you expect. Water has one of the highest heat capacities of common substances. This means it can absorb, store, and release heat slowly over time. In survival situations, this property makes water an excellent heat battery. A bottle filled with warm water can radiate heat for hours, long after the original heat source is gone. This is one of the simplest and most reliable cold survival techniques, yet many people overlook it because it seems too basic. If you have access to warm water from any source, even briefly, you can use it to stabilize your body temperature. A durable bottle filled with warm, not boiling water and wrapped in cloth can be placed near your core, between thighs, or near your feet. These areas benefit most from steady warmth. Over time, the heat spreads through your body via circulation. Even without an external heat source, your body can slowly warm water by keeping it close. This allows you to move that stored heat to colder extremities later. You are effectively using your own metabolism to charge a heat battery and then redistribute it where it is needed most. This method shines in overnight survival scenarios. Water holds heat far longer than air, meaning it smooths out temperature drops that would otherwise wake you up shivering. It also reduces the need for constant movement, which burns calories and increases dehydration. In emergency preparedness for beginners, this technique demonstrates an important principle. Survival is often about efficiency, not intensity. Small, consistent advantages compound over time. There is also a secondary benefit. Once the water cools, it is still usable for hydration. This creates a dual-purpose tool that supports both warmth and circulation. Dehydration worsens cold stress by reducing blood volume and slowing heat delivery to tissues. Using water as a heat reservoir supports both systems at once. In long-duration emergencies, this kind of efficiency becomes critical. You are not just staying warm for an hour, you are managing your body over days. Number 9. Group warmth is biology, not comfort. When multiple bodies share the same space, survival odds increase dramatically in cold environments. This is not a cultural idea or a social preference. It is basic biology. Each body produces heat. When that heat is shared within a confined space, the total available warmth increases without increasing individual energy expenditure. Animals understand this instinctively. Penguins huddle. Wolves sleep together. Livestock cluster in storms. Humans often resist this behavior because of social conditioning, personal space concerns, or discomfort. Cold does not care about those boundaries. Huddling reduces exposed surface area and traps shared warmth. Back-to-back positioning, side-by-side contact, and shared insulation all improve heat retention. 2 people sharing a sleeping bag will stay significantly warmer than 2 people in separate bags. The same principle applies under blankets, inside shelters, or in confined rooms. Even sleeping posture matters. Curling into a compact position reduces heat loss compared to spreading out. This is why people instinctively curl up when cold. It is an energy-saving posture. Pets add warmth too. Dogs and other animals have higher body temperatures and fur insulation. Sleeping near them provides additional heat and comfort. In family preparedness planning, these realities should be discussed ahead of time. When people understand that huddling is a survival strategy rather than an emergency improvisation, panic decreases. Clear expectations prevent hesitation when conditions worsen. Group warmth also provides psychological benefits. Cold survival is mentally exhausting. Shared warmth reduces stress, improves morale, and helps people sleep better. Sleep is critical for decision-making, coordination, and emotional control. Poor sleep accelerates failure. In group survival situations, cooperation is not optional. Cold rewards teamwork and punishes isolation. Independence may feel strong, but cooperation keeps people alive longer. Number 10. Food, water, and stubbornness keep the furnace running. Your body is a furnace, and like any furnace, it needs fuel and airflow to keep running. In cold emergencies, calories equal heat. Without sufficient fuel, your body cannot maintain core temperature no matter how well you insulate. This is why eating enough becomes more important than eating clean. Fats and carbohydrates are efficient sources of energy for warmth. Protein supports muscle maintenance, but fat and carbs provide faster heat production. In cold survival, energy efficiency matters more than dietary ideals. Hydration is just as important. Dehydration thickens blood and reduces circulation, which slows heat delivery to tissues. Even mild dehydration worsens cold stress. Warm drinks help psychologically and can provide short-term comfort, but hydration itself is what supports long-term temperature regulation. Drinking regularly, even when you do not feel thirsty, is essential. Beyond food and water, mindset matters more than people realize. Cold erodes morale slowly. The longer it lasts, the more it convinces you to stop trying, to cut corners, or to accept dangerous levels of discomfort as normal. This is where stubbornness becomes a survival trait. Not blind defiance, but consistent, disciplined behavior. You layer correctly even when it feels annoying. You block wind even when it takes effort. You insulate the ground even when you are tired. You reduce space even when it feels uncomfortable. You eat and drink even when you are not hungry or thirsty. None of these actions are dramatic. None of them feel heroic. Together, they keep your internal furnace burning when systems fail and options disappear. Cold survival is not about fighting the environment head-on. It is about refusing to give the cold access to what it wants, your heat. When everything goes wrong, the people who survive are not the strongest or the bravest. They are the ones who manage heat loss relentlessly, hour after hour, without quitting. That is how you don't freeze when the systems collapse.